Good morning, good afternoon, good evening across the country, around the world. Welcome back to Planet Coaster, Park Buena Vista, the Disneyland that never was, or as a friend of mine recently called it, quote, Mickey Mouse Land, that park that was never built. Anyway, we're going to jump in and work on the island. Actually, first we're going to add a train station on the far side, and then we're going to finish up the island. This will be the final episode, at least where I talk. I'll do one more episode, that's a flyover and overview of the park, and you get to ride everything and whatnot. But this will be the last one where we talk about things. Wow, I waited a long time for this. Oh, there we go. Okay. So I wanted to get another train station over here to hopefully get people to utilize the train to ride it to the far side of the park. But I think because the main street train station starts kind of in the center of the park, it doesn't really work that well. But we all know Walt Disney was a huge train fan, train nerd, a foamer, if you will. So he wanted trains. That's part of the reason he built Disneyland. He wanted his own train set. Anyway, so we build this here, and I had a heck of a time with these paths here, getting them to do what I wanted. I thought, grid? No? Something? Anything? And there we go. That's what I settled with for the exit path. And I initially put the entry path there, but then I move it, I want to move it, to the edge so that I can fit some, stanchions, some supports next to it to support the really simple station awning that we have here. Just super simple, nothing, there's no building, there's just these, there you go, the metal awnings all the way along, and then I cap it off with the corner pieces there. Yeah, so really simple station. Just a quick look at how it functions, and it functions, and there goes the train way off in the distance. Yep, couple quick lights, and then I think that's about it for this station. Like I said, really simple. Nothing special, just something to be over here and function. Not that anybody ever rides it, but it is functional. All right, so now we jump into working on the island. And at this point, when I was playing the game, I think I was reaching the limits for my computer. Maybe I don't know. My computer gets weird. Sometimes I just have to restart the computer, and then it's happy to do stuff. But it was being kind of choppy and not terribly friendly. So I go into this, and you'll see, I think after I do the next little thing, I stop and restart the computer. So there's a jump. Oh, not for a while. But at this point, we're going to work on the interior of the ride. We're going to add a whole bunch of lanterns and lights to it so that it's lit, so you're not going through dark caves all the time. But first, as you can see, we're working on this entrance to the mine. Like I said, this is very much inspired by Big Thunder Railroad at Disneyland. I end up eventually calling it Little Thunder Railroad, kind of in homage, in honor of Big Thunder Railroad. And, oh, I do this first. That's right. Okay. So, this other mine entrance, this is very much like the one at the final lift hill for Big Thunder Railroad, where there's some mining carts, and then you go into kind of a built mine entrance to the thing. So yeah, we got a couple mining carts. I use the rails here. We make rail ties a little later. There we go. Stick them up on the rails instead of like drifting through them. Yeah, I was happy with how this little area came out. Throw some rocks in there. They don't want to set inside. You got to kind of convince it to do it, but you can make it work. Just takes a little finagling. I've never really played much with the rocks, but there's because you can rotate them 360, you get a lot of variety out of the few rocks that they give you in the game. Yeah. And then we put some dynamite back here because why not? Dynamite is always good. More dynamite is better. And then we take the wood planks and make some custom, kind of mining railroad ties. And because there's two sides, and then you can orient those the two different ways, there's 4 variations to this, so that it's not the same looking thing every time. And there we go, filling out the last gaps for that. And then up here we make an actual entrance, kind of like the barn door on the front of it, out of some wood stuff. Come on, I did a lot of looking around with this. Oh, and I still haven't done it yet. I'm going to at some point. I need to put a block break section just down to the left of the screen there. You can see that helps with the timing of the ride. And I think just doing that helps increase the excitement of the ride as well as some other things. When I put in all those lanterns on their beams, they become, head choppers. And right in the ride, you see the guests actually, they duck. They duck their heads. And I think that adds to the excitement and the fear. So I think that's really cool. That's a really cool feature. Yeah, good. Closing off the inside here just so it's not like an obvious, too terribly obvious of it. This is just a shell of a thing. Good. Let's see what's next. Move the door a little bit and minecart. And is this when I clean it up? I think this might be when... Nope, I keep working on this. Oh yeah, more signs. Some of these wooden signs because they're simple enough. There you go. Danger. Blasting. Keep out. And the inside will have some effects, some exploding things and whatnot. Oh yeah, there the roof was sticking out just a wee bit, and it wasn't what I wanted, so I changed it. And here we're going to put, I think, we do it now? Yes. We put some boxes of dynamite, and of course the one dynamite box. Interesting, as you move it, the candle makes itself closer to the other dynamite. The candle moves around inside that prop box, which is interesting. You know, we use some of these piratey exploding barrels here, and we'll sync those up with triggers a little bit later. But I was kind of getting these up here, kind of playing with it, just to see what they're like. Whoa, and I got kicked out of the mountain a few times. And then, so those are good, and those just keep going. Yeah, there we go. There are the triggers. Adding the triggers. I ended up putting some at the very bottom, too, that are like dust settling. We end up with, I think, 5 triggers there. I think you can see 1, 2, 4, 5 for the barrels, and then the final explosions at the end. I think I had to resync these a couple times. And here we go. I'm going to add the dust settling at the very entrance, kind of a warning like, hey, watch out, there's stuff going on in here, you don't want to be here. But they work out pretty well. I was looking at all the other things that we had. I haven't really played much with the special effects up until now. This is really the most special effecty in-depth stuff that I've done so far. And then here we put the explosions. Make sure we had the Western explosions, otherwise the regular or the sciencey ones were just a little bit different. And then add those to that last trigger there for when the train hits the very top. And then we ride it, of course, because, hey, why not? Because I wanted to see how this looks from the ride-along view. And those 2 explosions at the top aren't really enough. You can't see it or experience it from the back of the train. So I add them all to that. I had 4 for a total of 6 now, so that pretty much everywhere along the train you experience some of that explosion. I was looking at some of the other things. I've really not tried much of the special effects up until this episode, and I kind of like how it works. Like I said, it's very reminiscent of the real Big Thunder Railroad. Another test ride because, hey, why not? Oh yeah, and here's where I realize, oh, I need to change that. I need to add a block section to right next to the minecarts there, so that you're not holding at that first lift hill, because that will kill the excitement level. And there we are, we've closed the ride, and we're going to add the block section here just to give ourselves that little bit of clearance, and it ends up working out pretty nicely. It was the train was just not quite clearing that second lift hill in time for the first lift hill to be, authorized to dispatch. So that works out really well, and it adds with the little, with the autocomplete, it adds a little janky sidestep to the left, I think, and it really reminds me of Big Thunder. So I really like the way that kind of auto-completed. And then over here, I was going to try to add some custom supports over here, but whether it's just the coaster, the type of, or what, I don't know. I couldn't get anything any closer than that. So either way, it's going to look like it's floating. Kind of annoying. I don't know why it was being that persnickety. I've seen, maybe it's just this coaster. I've seen Silverette do stuff where he's gotten it right like a few pixels away from the underside of the track. Whether it's because this is banked so much or what, I don't know. But no matter what I did, I couldn't get anything close. Even that little piece that I think I've seen Silverette used, couldn't get close to it. So we just kind of leave that a little bit floating. I add some more ground underneath here a little bit to give it a little more, quote, support. But for the most part, it just stays floating. I even tried this piece of a wall to see if that would have different, I don't know what, but it didn't work. And then we move on to painting the ground, because we were done manipulating the caves and the ground and stuff at this point. And I painted all over. It's like, wow, that looks like dragon scales. So I softened it up with some patches of just the solid gray rock, and it looks better. I think I could go through and do a little more even. Maybe add some green spots here or there. But I think at that point I was pretty much done with the mountain, and then just going to work on other aspects of the ride. I think I took a break here, or this was a break between days. There should be a cut there. Yeah, there it is. And so the next thing I work on is going to be some beams, some, mining beams, support looking things for the interiors, and eventually ends up being for the exteriors of the ride. Just gonna build it over here. Then went, no, I need to see the track. But it was hard to get it to line up straight, so I had to go off of the building. There we go. Get it in place. And I was like, that's really small. There, hey, whoa, bigger beams. And across, and one across, and then some little support angle pieces. I thought, that just looks stupid. So we go with the wood planks, and they end up turning out to be all right. It takes a bit to match the color, but I got them in place, and I think they look pretty close to correct as far as, janky little support cross brace pieces. Yeah, they look all right. And then I go through and color them to match, and it's not exactly the same because they are different kind of textures, but it's okay. And then I was trying to select it, and I was like, come on, select. No, don't select the ride, just select the thing. Just so, then, no. And it was, a bit of a headache. But I got it to save, and we tested in a cave just to make sure it's manipulable and that it fits, and it does, but I realized it's not tall enough. So we take it out here, stretch that down, and while we're at it, we add lanterns to it as well, because these are going to go through those caves, and even during daytime, those caves can get pretty dark. And save it and overwrite that old one. And then we throw it inside. Come on. We throw it inside that first tunnel opening to see how it looks, and I think it looks pretty swell. And after that first test fitting and looking at that, I realized, oh, the entrance is dark. Oh, I do that later. Okay. I thought I lit the entrance. I guess I do that off camera. But then we start slapping these guys in all the tunnels. Well, almost all the tunnels. Actually, they do go into pretty much all the tunnels, just not everywhere. There's still some dark patches here and there to give you some mystery, some form of the mysterious. Like there's a dark patch right there-ish, and then I think, this lift hill is lit at the bottom and kind of at the top, but that's it. I was kind of struggling with the camera controls. I figured out eventually, but I was like, oh god, the ground, help. And there's a few times where I get kicked out of the mountain because my camera just goes in weird places. But it ends up looking all right. So right out of the station, which I know I need to light still. And I really like the way those beams look. And I noticed later on that because they are, quote, head choppers for the guests, that translates into the game, and they duck their heads to get away from those beams. This next bit is still just adding a lot of those beams. Adding one there near the pedestrian path underneath. We end up adding some in the pedestrian path of a different width. And here I was playing with the free play or the free look camera controls, kind of getting a feel for it. Didn't quite get there. For this turnabout here, I wanted to be in some darkness, kind of like the turnaround before the second lift hill at Big Thunder Mountain is in Disneyland, where it's dark and then you come out. It was too long. It was too much. It actually made my monitor want to go into sleep mode because it got that dark for just long enough. But we add two more, and that balances it out. So it's dark for just a moment, and then it lights back up again. And we should see that. Yeah, it wasn't dark for too long, and you see the light at the end of the tunnel pretty quickly. And then I guess I'm just riding through just for funsies. I ended up riding this a lot in this episode just for fun. Kind of looking at, I think as I was writing each time, I was looking at, okay, what else do I need to do? What's the next thing? So here we add, some of the good old storm lanterns to the side of this building. And we add, more of these support beams up here. I know, blasting tunnel, why would you want to do, lights and things? But it's a ride. It's going to stick through with a theme. It's not, doesn't have to be totally, 100% realistic. It is what it is for fun. And then we end up lighting the inside first. Yes, we end up lighting the inside, so you can actually see the barrels, the stuff, with a couple of these. There they go, and they're hidden under the tracks. I'm not really terribly worried about them. We turn them to a bit of a yellow color to soften them up a little bit. Then do the same thing for the mine carts down here, and I end up hiding that behind some rocks. Never played much with the rocks, but they're, like I said before, they're pretty versatile. Just with a few rotations one way or the other, up and down and around 360, you can do a lot of shapes with the same couple of rocks. It ends up working out pretty nice. Then we plop in some trees. I kind of wanted that area to be a little hidden, but not totally hidden. So those trees kind of hide a bit of it, but you can still get a glimpse of it from across the river there on the path. add a few things. And hell yeah, of course, a nod to the real Big Thunder and to Disney with a hidden Mickey in the wheels, because they actually have this by the second lift hill at Big Thunder Railroad in Disneyland. We're still going through, adding more of those support beams here and there. They end up being in pretty much every tunnel, at least the like entrance and exits of these tunnels, so that's there. Sometimes there's a dark gap in the middle, but I think that adds to the, to the ambiance, to the mystery and whatnot. But it's just enough to really light up these spots and make it look, I think it makes it look really cool. I really like it, and it does, as you ride it, it makes you feel like it's a head chopper. It makes you feel like you're going to bonk your head on something. Add a few more in here because this tunnel was pretty dark. And one more here. It's hard to judge where the entrance to these tunnels are sometimes from the outside, but then you get it. Yeah, eventually you get there. And then here, where the two the two loops cross, I think that's kind of cool. Because you got a little bit of that at Big Thunder Railroad in Disneyland, where they, the paths kind of weave past each other. But honestly, I've seen it from above. I've ridden it many, many times, and I still get confused as to the layout overall of the ride. So this is, I think, my final ride through to check on all the lights. And all the special effects and whatnot. I think it ends up going off pretty well. I think I don't really add too many more lights in the tunnels aside from at the end there. I think I add one more before the last set of station breaks. I guess you do that off camera though. And then I end up utilizing these again, it's the same piece in the entry queue because hey, why not? Because it fit and it was the same theme and it was easy to do. Glorious, glorious, glorious. And I bet it's going to help the queue theme rating. Whoa, yeah, they got kicked out of the mountain and bounced way, way away. And they even fit over the exit queue, which is a little bit wider. So that was a happy coincidence there. It was pretty short, but I did it. We ended up adding those all along the path because I needed it. And here we take it and stretch it out. We just add a 2-meter piece to it, I think. I might add the 4-meter just to give myself more flexibility. But it ends up being that this fits just nicely right across the wide path that goes through the mountain here. Yeah, so and these go through all the way through because this was dark and creepy, and it was really deceptive. I was like, okay, just one more should be good. Oh, maybe just one more should be good. One more, and it for some reason the darkness was deceptive. I think I did, yeah, one more. That's the final one, and then that tunnel is finally nicely lit. And at this point, I'd gotten a little tired of doing lights and darkness and tunnel things. So we come over to the fort, and I'm going to steal this top, the lookout piece there, copy it, and split it. And it's going to become the top spire for a tall, kind of, watchtower lookout spot. And we copy paste these posts all the way down. I'd never done something quite like this before, but I think it turned out decently. I ended up using some of Silverette's custom support techniques, kind of to make, or not custom, but custom spires and things, and ended up. I think it looks pretty good when it's all said and done. It was a nice little thing. I thought it was a nice little thing. Nice little thing, a nice element. I said thing a lot there, didn't I? At the Big Thunder Railroad in Disneyland, there are a few. What are there? There's the lookout tower that Tinkerbell smacks into. But there's another lookout tower or two. Yeah, there's a lookout tower or two on the ride, I believe, that you can see as you go through. And that I was trying to emulate that. Yeah, here's the part where I was kind of trying to do the custom thing, and nope, the angle wasn't quite right. So try it again and suck it down and a little more in. And it didn't go quite as high as I initially meant, but I ended up liking it better this way than the other way. And then we just turn and slide and shifty and get rid of angle snap. There we go. Turn and slide and pop into place. And those 9 pieces become the part that I just copy paste, zip, zip, zip all the way around. And that ends up being the, the splayed out support for this tower. And then I go through and copy paste. I was trying to do sideways beams, and I was like, no. We ended up just copying pasting the platform levels because that seemed to make a little more sense. I could have just copy pasted that whole thing all the way down instead of just the underside supports, but it works out either way. And then we do some cross braces, which I'm kind of proud of. I gotta say, I'm a little proud of. Although I thought I could just copy paste those 5 or 6 pieces and spin it, but it's the angles, it doesn't, it's not, no, I could have, but I was like, no, it's not worth it. I'll just do the same technique across and again, and then we'll just take that, oh yeah, with the wall, because that wall will make it center on a tile, and slap that onto the other 4 sides. Yeah, and you at this point, I think you can really see the tower is coming together. And then I use these thinner pieces here. I'm like, wait, there's a 4-foot, or there's a 4-meter piece? So we do that there and cross there, and same technique where we take it and add it to the wall and copy paste that all the way around because the wall, you know, centers it on the tile. Just makes life a bit easier. And then, yeah, back to more lights, but I wanted this to be pretty well lit so you could see it from everywhere. So we put a light, 4 lights on top and a light on every level so that it looks like it's, you know, ready to be manned, ready to be used as whatever, a fire watch station or whatever it's going to be. Yeah, and that's the end of that tower. I was quite happy with that. And then we're back to nighttime and lighting up the station building. Again, with the storm lanterns. I was thinking of using some other lanterns, but I realized, you know what? It's not worth the hassle. Let's just do this thing. Because the storm lanterns, they look westernish. They look like they could be something that would be used, you know, in the Wild West. I didn't go crazy with them, but I put a fair amount of them. Unfortunately, there's still a fair amount of darkness right over the actual train cars, even though I added these guys. I think because there's that, it's solid on the bottom, it doesn't really transfer light straight down. So the train cars are still a little bit in the darkness, but it's better than it was. At least now this whole station isn't in complete darkness. Oh, I do show this on camera. Okay. So yeah, we go through and add these all along this this exit pathway because I figured, keep the theme going, and why make something else that's not going to look quite right. And we had bounce back and forth between daytime and nighttime to make sure I got those supports sunk into the ground correctly. And again, same thing over here at the entrance, although we only did a couple because there was a lot of other light there. And with the lighting mostly done, I was going to go, oh yeah, again, custom supports there. Nope, that didn't work. Clean up that. And then you just put one of those. And then we go, oh good, I do like that. Do I put a, yes I do, excellent. And that's there. I need to hide that with some rocks too. I don't think I do that, do I? No, I need to go through and hide that with some rocks. Blech. Yeah, and there I name it, Little Thunder RR, Little Thunder Railroad. And with that, we're just about done with it. I'm going to add some trees on top, although they align to surface and they want to go at all the weird angles, so every so often you got to tilt them back upright, which is okay. It's not the end of the world, but it's a little annoying sometimes. I wish they would just plop straight up and down because, trees for the most part would plop straight up and down. I wish there was a checkbox to vertical or something like that. But sadly, there is not. For the most part, I think those are birch trees. I don't want to do anything too alpine-y, but that's what we get there. Oh yeah, and lastly, one of the last things we work on here is we add some bathrooms down here, some restrooms, and then we add, what do we add? A Chief Beef and a Hat's Fantastic, I think. Just because I figured, something in here would be fun. Yeah, Hat's Fantastic and Chief Beef, slide it back so that connects. Good. And immediately, those things were being utilized, so that's really cool. I think they look really good with the stone, like stalactites, stalagmites. Mice crawl on the mites on the ground. It looks really good with the stone kind of peeking through there like that. I really like that look. And of course, the metal, the iron roofs, the corrugated roofs, and the Chief Beef with the woody sign. Oh, got kicked out of the mountain there. Yeah. And then, yeah, we sucked the ground back in, but it didn't suck in, even though I had scenery lock off, it didn't suck in much, / enough, but it's okay. It's enough to get the point across. Yeah. And here we go with a final ride through at normal speed. Thanks for watching. Thanks for hanging out. If you hit subscribe. Tell your friends, tell your neighbors, pass the word. I will catch you later.